Well, I might have just killed this thing. It was starting to rain as I was flying, and I was having too much fun. I didn't want to land, and I was too lazy to go pick it up, so I just flew it back, and it cut out. It fell out of the air. What did I do?
Tiny Hawk Freestyle 3 HD with HD0 on board. Get this full kit with the goggles, the drone, the charger, the batteries, everything.
See, man, they got headphones and everything.
A controller that comes pre-bound, a set of goggles that are ready to go out of the box. Only 64 grams. It's 2.5-inch size, which has been one of my favorite size drones for many years. It is my Diatone Cube that I've had. I put you on this is probably 4 or 5 years old now, as it's just so much fun. I know bought and sold drones over the years, but this one has always been in my stable. It takes to upgrade the control link to ExpressLRS, which is the most popular open source control protocol on the market today. It upgrades the video system. This is the Darwin FPV Ape, also 2.5-inch, and this thing using an analog video system. This uses HD0 and it keeps the weight very small. Let's closer look at Emax's latest version of their all-in-one, which has the electronic speed controller. They have ordered up to these 64 grams right there, so very light, and it's meant to use a pair of these 651S batteries. Now this is a very clever solution. It's the same battery that you use on the Tiny Hawk. We're actually going to cut this off and convert this to an XT30. So I use a 2S battery like this. I'm a hobbyist and I have a hobby charger and I can do this. The nice thing about the way that Emax delivers it to you is if you are not a hobbyist, you get away with using the provided charger that is included and you don't have to go buy a separate charger. This board does have USB-C, still a new innovation to a lot of these crafts, and it's cool to see Emax blazing that trail. The ceramic XLRS antenna right here, that is going to be an included antenna so that you don't have to manage squirreling it away anywhere in there. And below this you can see the HD0 Whoop Light video transmitter system with their Emax antenna that is very small and light out here at the back, and the tiny HD0 camera at the front that is going to give you that HD signal. This is one of the lightest, smallest HD combinations. You can buy in and go straight to HD in 2020. You don't have to mess around with analog. They give you the lowest latency available on the market. I've had a chance to use Emax's goggle system for you. This is a unibody plate design, so if you did manage to crash hard enough to where you cracked it, you get a plate from Emax, and I believe compared to a modern release, the FPV Tiny Ape was actually very clearly an homage to the Freestyle. See how similar the bottom plate design is right there, but this one's analog legacy video system in there. We'll see how the weight compares. 4.8 grams, so about a 10-gram difference. But for that 10-gram difference, what do you get? You get full beautiful HD video signal and the legacy analog that's going to have more breakup. Now HD0 does actually give you some breakup. The trade-off is you get the lowest latency possible, and when you're flying one of these around a yard, a garden, a park, a playground, you want to be able to have the lowest latency to your goggles so that you can maneuver around and not crash into any of those targets. So having that low latency at this size really is very nice in being able to fly. And the fact that they were able to get this together with only a 10-gram weight difference versus a traditional 2.5-inch right there. Interestingly enough, Emax went for a wider but not as tall motor, but that's going to give you a lot of low end grunt. That when you're in the bottom half of that throttle range, you're going to have a greater than normal throttle feel for this, and I really feel like that's the sweet spot, because you're probably going to be flying this in smaller spaces. You're not really going to have the time or the space to go full throttle on that stick a lot, so giving you more power down low in combination with these super grippy props. Look how aggressive that pitch is.
Very aggressive.
is what is grabbing the air and pushing you into whatever direction that you're commanding it to go. Just can compare it to how flat the pitch is on this Legacy craft, and that's going to let you know how much more maneuverable this thing is going to be at the lower ranges. So think about this as an autocross beast, where yeah, you're not going to be thrashing it at full throttle, but for very maneuverable feeling, that's exactly the type of flight feel that you get with this type of craft. 2.5 motors that are spinning at 7,000 kV. Now look, out of the box, bound. Stabilization mode on by default. Controller that is labeled in order for you to switch to full acro mode if you're ready to do tricks. Just that if this is your first drone or your second drone, you still put some time on simulator to get those skills well equipped before you do too many tricks.
Trick is something a whore does for money.
It flies really, really well, about the same as those previous generation ones, and the control just allows you to put it exactly where you want it. This is a kind of drone that really bridges a lot of those gaps. Yes, it's a perfect learning tool for a new pilot, but it also has the power and control that a very experienced pilot like myself is still gonna have a ton of fun. Now, what's the best thing about drones of this size? It's because they are so small, 64 grams. That you can literally put a chair in your driveway, fly a few packs in your yard without even going into your neighbor's yard, and just have a lot of fun. It just has the control that it makes small spaces like that into a full drone playground. If you get the full kit, it does come with a full set of spare props. It is a very similar unibody design, but I believe they're also going to have, really gives you that sensation of flying a much larger drone, but in a very small footprint. It's very, very quiet, so you're not going to announce yourself to the world and be bothering things. You know, I have a lot of dogs in my area, and I didn't hear any of them barking at this thing just because it's very quiet and it probably sounds like a bug or something. And because the weight and size is so small, you really don't have to worry about it hitting anything or anyone. It is definitely going to be too fast to fly inside your house. So if you do want to do that, you're going to want something like the Tiny Hawk regular, not the freestyle. But for going to a park, going to a yard, going somewhere where you don't just have a tremendous amount of room, this is really a great option right there. And it's nice to see Emax following all the trends. They have a full lineup now of analog, of HD0 and DJI O3 options. Now, what are you going to want to pick one of those versus the others? HD0 is a little bit lower cost, and it has the lowest latency out there. So the refresh rate, if you're into gaming, you're going to have that with the HD0 system, which is on this. If you want the absolute best clarity and be able to record footage that is going to be really almost as good as a GoPro, then you want to go with the DJI O3 system with one of their products like we saw on the channel here. What do you think in the comments, guys? Is 2.5 inch what you like to do? I just had a blast flying this thing around. I just found myself charging up the packs. One thing I don't like is how they have the 2 battery 1S things in order to make a 2S. I'm actually going to modify this, guys, and switch it over to an XT30 so you can use a standard size 2S. Overall, what do you guys think? This one was really enjoyable for me. You can actually start with the Baby Hawk kit or this kit and then add one or the other in order to have an indoor quad for yourself and an outdoor quad. It's kind of cool that they both share the same 650 milliamp hour 1S batteries. Let's see if this thing is still alive. I've left this fan blowing on it for about 18 hours just in case it did get some moisture. As you can see with the battery on, it pretty much covers all the electronics. There's just a tiny little section where something might get wet, and that's why I kept flowing it. Emax actually puts a little plastic cover on the bottom side, so if you go upside down, you're not going to get any water in there either. Here is the moment of truth. We got video and OSD. Let's try to arm it. Video's good, arm's good, test hover's good. I just got lucky this time. Maybe I was having too much fun and the battery was just a little bit lower than I thought. Don't do like I did. If it starts raining, land somewhere where you're out of the water, walk and go get it. Don't be like me. Really nice job, Emax. This thing is so fun that you won't want to land even if it's raining. Not bad, Emax.